Welcome to Extracting the Essential of Digestion, Part 2, which I've named From Assimilation to Transformation. And before we go specifically into the body's transformational powers of the food we eat, I'd just like to put it in context and look at maybe the bigger picture, how everything that we eat is composed of the five elements. Actually, everything is composed of the five elements. I'm just staying in context with digestion. And if I take an example of, for example, water is one of the five elements. And here it's very humid in Montreal. We're having a heat wave. And so this water is slowly evaporating and condensing to either meet the other clouds in the sky or become their own clouds. And these clouds, before it rains, are slowly or quickly, depending on the wind, which is air, is migrating. Is it migrating to 100 kilometers down the road or 5 meters down the road? Where is it going to rain? Maybe even across the globe. So wherever these clouds decide to rain down, in that region, the soil itself, the earth element, will take the water and then transform it to nourish the tree or the plant's vital force. If we think of the first video on nourishment, and those will be the plant or the tree will transform rainwater and soil, earth and water, into leaves, fruits, and flowers. Those, if they're untouched by any other animal, including human, well, they just then naturally fall to the ground, decompose, become soil and nourishment, compost, for the next cycle. It's possible that another animal, a herbivore, will go ahead and eat it and then have its own transformational journey with what that energy can become. And it's possible that I will go to my garden and pick it or go to the supermarket because someone else has done the picking for me, let's say, which is another reason to be grateful. So wherever source my food comes from, I'm aware of the transformation of the five elements into this one item. Let's say I'm holding a tomato, then the same five elements are not what an apple would look like or a broccoli. And I can continue a long list of diversity of what these five elements can actually become. It's quite fascinating, in my opinion. And this is another reason to be grateful. And this is the theme of the video, actually, is as I prepare to eat, once I've taken the time to adjust with the five senses, as I've suggested in my first video on digestion, I do this with each meal. And I really want to share this because it's such a delicious part of the whole eating process of the meal itself, is that before I actually put the first spoon in my mouth, I just sit at the table and I appreciate. Sometimes I hold my hands out to encompass everything I see in front of me that's comestible, or also if there are people joining me, I appreciate their presence. I just want to stick to the essential of digestion. I can go into different tangents, which I will avoid doing. And so I open my hands and I appreciate. As I open my hands, I keep them relatively soft so that they're in more receptive state, so that all parts of me are receiving what's soon going to be entering into my mouth and become my body, which will then create actions. This is where we're going. I take the time to appreciate, notice all the textures and odors and colors. And I take a moment to say thank you. Thank you for this amazing transformational process of the elements that have become these ingredients that I've then transformed into a recipe. Wow, I can do so much with the same ingredients. If you just think of flour and water, it can become pasta or bread or a cake and so on. I take the time, I'm grateful. And with this, I say thank you for what I'm about to ingest, what I'm about to put into me, in order to continue this continuum, the continuum of breaking down and assimilating elements If you like science, it's biochemistry. Different molecules merge and dissolve continuously. Different way of saying the same thing. As I breathe, as I live, I'm part of this continuum, this endless cycle. In honor of being in harmony with these cycles, I ask that this food nourish and be assimilated in a way that's easy for my body, for my being, efficient, sustainable, and in alignment with my intentions. And then I take a moment to state my intentions. What do I want this food to provide fuel for? In the same way, when you put gas into your car, you then decide where you're going to drive your car. In the same way that when I put fuel into my mouth, where do I want this fuel to take me? And in similar ways as an instruction manual, I'm coding or inviting my brain, my body, to please transform this fuel into these virtues, values, inspirations, aspirations, actions that can be in line with the bigger cycles of continuum and transformation. And may these actions provide inspiration towards other people who might also be open to receiving this nourishment and be in line with the bigger cycles. May this food be a good source to do good and provide towards the greater good. Bon appétit.